So very good morning, students. Let's begin today's session. And before that, let's start with our idiom of the week. And today's idiom is 11th hour, at the 11th hour. So the sentence goes like this. At the 11th hour, just seconds before the curtain rose, Manya finished painting the scenery. At the 11th hour, just seconds before the curtain rose, Manya finished painting the scenery. Can you guess the meaning, what it means?
Ma'am, at the last minute.
Yes,
At the last
wonderful.
moment.
Yes, at the
At the
last
last moment.
very good. At the last moment, just before the absolute deadline, many people do have the habit of finishing their work just at the last moment. So we can use this idiom. Now, what is the origin? This idiom actually comes from the Bible. In the Bible, there is one reference referred to the 11th hour, which is the last hour before the end of the world. जो जजमेंट डे होता है, जो डूम्सडे आता है, so it is the last hour. And in Bible, it was the last hour of the sunlight, with the 12th hour bringing darkness. So वो जो 12th hour था, उससे पहले की जो घड़ी है, so at the last moment of the end of the world, right? And then gradually the idiom developed because of people's habit of delaying things, the procrastination that is called. So some people delay so much that they sometimes finish a project or their work just at the last minute, even at the last second before the deadline passes. So that way this idiom came into use, and it means at the last moment, right? So this is the idiom of the week. Keep practicing. Make sentences with these idioms. I'll be asking you frequently, quite often during the week as well. So you should be ready with your sentences as well at the 11th hour. Okay, students, now let's start with the discussion. But before that, in case you still have any doubts from the poem, beta, you can ask. Any lines that you could not understand, any concept that you could not understand from the poem, you can ask. You can raise hand. If there is any other query from your side, you can ask. No? All right, then let's begin with the discussion of the question. Poem The Road Not Taken, written by Robert Frost. The first question, that is, where does the traveler find himself? What problem does he face? I want Ahil Janjua to answer the question. Ahil, kindly answer. Ahil, unmute yourself. Krish Talwar. No response. They will never even unmute and talk to the teacher. It's really a bad habit. Harpreet Jhalle. Where does the traveler find himself? Okay, then I'm moving on to Rijul. Answer the question.
The traveler found himself stuck in a place where he has to decide to choose one path to go for forward, but he was not able to choose or decide that which path should he choose.
Correct. And you will particularly mention this word, that he found himself across a point of road where it diverges, where it forks into two. That is at the point of a divergence, right? And what problem does he face? He faces the dilemma, the confusion as to which road he should choose and continue his journey, right? And if you get a question along with it again, why he was in dilemma, then the answer is again given in the first stanza there. Can anyone tell me? Pratham Kumar, why ka answer dijiye? Why was he in dilemma?
Because the roads were diverging and he was not known about the roads
Where did the road goes?
Okay, and anything else?
Ma'am, may I?
Yes.
Because
May I?
ma'am, because he could not go on the both. He could not travel on the both roads.
Yes, this is also one point, Mankirat, correct answer, that being an individual, he cannot travel on both the roads simultaneously. And moreover, his future depended on this decision, right? His journey depended on this decision. And that's why it was important for him to overcome his confusion and take a wise decision, right? I hope this first question is clear to all of you. Okay, now let's quickly move on to the next one. Discuss with what these phrases mean to you. The first one is a yellow wood. Bhavika, answer the question. Bhavika, yellow wood.
A forest in the autumn season.
Yes. So, and better always, whenever you are answering the question, try to answer the question in a complete sentence, right? Never give incomplete answers, because when you speak incomplete answers, you also write that way. And in English, it is very important then that you learn the correct sentence structure and you write complete sentences, okay? So here, a yellow wood signifies autumn season, a forest in the autumn season where the green leaves have started yellowing and are falling on the ground. I hope it is clear. Yes. And now the next one. It was grassy and wanted where? Okay, who's in the list here? Yes, Anshika. Anshika.
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
The road was grassy because it was less traveled by the people and
Hmm.
it wanted the people to move on it.
Yes, wanted where? So it was grassy. That means the road was full of grass, as very less number of people have traveled onto that road. Nobody had used it, and that's why it was quite appealing, and it wanted that people should walk over that road and leave their footprints on that road. Next one, the passing there. Passing there. Aryan Sharma. There are two Aryan Bluse and Aryan Sharma. Aryan Sharma is from red section. Please answer the question. Aryan. Please do write your sections also along with, I have told you the way you will write your name. First your roll number, then your section, just R or B and the name. Okay, Mansi Jain. Yes, better you answer the question.
Ma'am, the people that were passing from there.
Yes, the people who were passing from there, who have used the path by passing by. Okay, so it is referring to the passers by. Okay, good answer. Next one, leaves no step had trodden black. Parneet, roll number 5, blue section.
The fallen leaves had laid uncrushed, crushed as if no one had passed through the road.
Pardon, repeat it again. Fallen leaves.
This refers that the fallen leaves laid uncrushed as if no one has passed through the path.
Okay, fallen leaves, they have not been crushed yet because nobody has passed through that road, and the color have not, the color is still not, it has not turned into black because it has not started to decompose yet, as people have not stepped on it. So no trodden ब्लैक. ठीक है, यहाँ ट्रॉडन ब्लैक का मतलब है जब कदमों के निशान पड़ते हैं पत्तों पर, बार बार कोई पत्तों के ऊपर से गुजरता है, तो दिस get crushed and they start decomposing and then they turn black. So no step had trodden black. So the leaves that had fallen on that path and people have not traveled through that path, and that's why the leaves were uncrushed and have not turned into black color. And the next one, how way leads on to way. Nami. How way leads on to way. Nami. Nami, You are not audible.
Praise the
Sorry, Nami beta, you are not audible. You can type your answer in the chat box. I can read it out from there. So let me move on to the next student. Yes. Himanshi Prabhakar. Himanshi. Same question.
Ma'am, can you repeat the question again?
It is question number 2 from your book, part 5. How way leads on to way? What is the meaning of this phrase?
This phrase means how certain decision one means in life could have the way from many other decisions.
Okay. Anything else that you want to add to it? How way leads on to another way? Okay, let me ask the same question to someone else here. I have in list. Yes. Same hands. Prab Meher. Yes, let answer the question.
It means that if someone goes to choose a way, then
Mhm.
he reaches its destination.
Okay, anything else? It's correct. Both the answers are correct. Yes, Narinder, can you sum it up?
Yes, ma'am. This means that how one road leads to the other road and how the paths are interconnected.
And you will always tell the symbolic meaning in the poem as well. You should not stick to the literal meaning here always. So what is the symbolic reference here? Here it is actually talking about the choices in our life, right? आपके आंसर्स करेक्ट थे, बट जो आपको इसका सिंबॉलिक रेफरेंस भी बताना है अपने आंसर के साथ, that how the choices that we make and the decisions taken by us, they set a course of our life, and that makes a big difference in our life, and thus we have to move in a particular direction and we cannot turn back to the starting point again. So that way, how way leads on to way, right? The next one here. So is there, question number 3 from your book, is there any difference between the two roads as the poet describes the stanzas in stanza 2 and 3 and in the last 2 lines of the poem? So first we will discuss the first part of the question in stanzas 2 and 3. Yes, Vidya Vita, answer the question.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
There is no difference in the roads as the poet describes them in the stanzas. He says that both of the roads that he saw were equally covered in grass and wanted wear, but the other one had more uncrushed leaves, as if no person had stepped on it.
Your answer is contradicting itself. There is a difference, slight difference, that is mentioned in stanza 2 and 3. So first you have to look for the description given in stanza 2 and then in stanza 3, right? Now, actually stanza 2, it will be continued from the last 2 lines of stanza 1 as well. So let me move on to next one. Shrey Thapar, can you answer the question? The difference between the stanza 2 and 3, the roads mentioned. Yes, Shrey. Do you want to try, or may I call another name?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, for what? You want to give
In
the answer? Okay.
stanzas 2 and 3, there is no difference in both the roads, as the poet had said that had warned them, though as for that the passing there had warned them really about the same. He has used that line that both the roads were equally used,
Okay, you are just taking the literal meaning of the lines from stanza 3, but you're forgetting about the descriptions given in 1 and 2. Okay, let me just give you a hint. When I was explaining the poem, I've told you at that time also that there is one general observation about the roads. And then that morning when the poet stood there, what was his observation for that particular moment? Now, can you give a try? Salil? Salil Manan? No response. Kashish?
Yes, ma'am. There is a slight difference between the first and the second road. The first road was more traveled by the people, and the second road was less traveled as compared to the first one, as
Yes.
the leaves were not properly trodden and they were not crushed, and they also not turned black. In the first road, the leaves were also black. There were footprints of the people, and that's make all the difference.
Yes. And the second observation in the third stanza that the poet talks about is that morning, us subha, when he stood there at the point of divergence, the condition of the roads was quite equally same as that morning. Nobody had passed through that road because the leaves were still uncrushed. The leaves that had fallen that morning on the road, those leaves were still uncrushed. So क्या difference है? इस difference को ध्यान से सुनिएगा. I'm repeating it again that in the opening lines of the poem, in the first two stanzas, the poet is describing the two roads. So what is the description? About the first road, the poet mentions that a lot of people have traveled through that road. बहुत सारे लोग गुजरे हैं और the grass is also crushed there. Footprints हैं लोगों के, and which shows that it is very frequently traveled by a large number of people. When he turned towards the second road, what he saw, that the second road was grassy and wanted wear. There was still grass on that road. Now देखो, जहां से बहुत लोग गुजरते हैं ना, उन रास्तों पर अगर कच्ची मिट्टी हो तो उन रास्तों की जो घास होती है वो बहुत ज्यादा दब जाती है, वहां पर एक रास्ता सा बन जाता है लोगों के कदमों के निशान की वजह से. लेकिन जहां से कम लोग गुजरते हैं तो आप देखोगे कहीं कहीं मिट्टी होती है, कहीं कहीं घास भी होती है, एंड दैट इज द इंडिकेशन दैट वहां से बहुत कम लोग गुजरते हैं. So same is the description given in the opening two stanzas of the poem, that how he describes the condition of the two road. The first one was traveled by a large number of people. The grass was crushed there, and the leaves were also crushed and decomposed. They have turned black. But the second road, it was grassy. The leaves were still not crushed by a large number of people because it was traveled by a few people. And then that morning in the third stanza, what the poet says, he says that morning when I stood there, I found the condition of the road equally similar, because the leaves have fallen that morning and nobody had stepped on that morning. उस सुबह जब पोएट गुजर रहे थे वहां से, उन्होंने क्या देखा कि जो पत्ते गिरे थे उस सुबह, वहां उन पत्तों पर अभी तक किसी के भी कदमों के निशान नहीं बने थे. I hope the difference is now clear to you all. Okay, if it is clear, you can show me thumbs up. Okay, good. And if there is still any doubt, you can ask. Otherwise, we'll not move on to the next question. If there is still doubt, you can unmute and ask. Chaliye, wonderful. Okay. And now the second part. In the last two lines of the poem, what is the poet describing there? When the last two lines of the poems are, I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Yes. Ishita, answer the question.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, in the last two lines of the poem, the poet says that there is a slight difference there is a difference between the two roads, and he said that he took the decision of traveling on the less used path, and as it is full of challenges, and that will give him new life experiences.
Yes, and so when he talks about the road, after careful observation, after taking cautious approach, after taking a long time to decide, the decision that he has taken is that he would travel on the road which is less traveled by people, and he says that it has made a big difference in his life, because now his decision has shaped his life in a different way. His decision has set a course of life, and thus he has given a particular direction to his life from where there is no turning back, right? So this is what you will explain about the last two lines, right, students? I hope that it is now clear to all of you. Yes.
Ma'am,
Fourth,
please
yes.
repeat this. Ma'am, please repeat this question. Your voice was cracking from my side.
Okay, Vita, I'm repeating it again. In the last two lines, what the poet said that after making careful observation, after taking a cautious approach, that he made a decision. He made the right choice of traveling on the road which was less traveled by the people. And he also adds that now this decision has shaped his future in a different way. This decision, it has set the course of his life and given it a particular direction from where there is no turning back. And what type of attitude do we find about the poet here? What is the poet's attitude here? Vansh? On reading the poem, what do you come to know about the poet?
We come to know that poet didn't want to go on simple ways. We want to do something different, which
Yes.
is challenging,
Yes.
so that he can get better experiences in life.
Yes. So we find that the poet is quite daring in nature. He likes challenges. Adventurous in nature, good word. So he is adventurous in nature. He likes to make experiments in life, and thus he has taken the decision of traveling on the road which was not traveled by many people, right? So the second part is just about your question, that is a general, that have you ever had make a difficult choice? This we already have discussed in the opening introduction of the poem, right? So with this, the poem is complete. Before we move on to the next part, is there any other doubt you can ask? I hope you are clear with the poetic devices. So what is the symbolism used here in the poem? What is the symbolism?
Choices are referred to as roads.
Yes, the road is symbolic of the different choices that we get in our life. Okay, that is the symbolism. Okay, good one. Can you find some alliteration in the poem? Alliteration, where it is used? Mankirat. Alliteration, कहाँ यूज किया गया है? Here's the poem in front of you. Alliteration. Alliteration होता है when the consonant sound is repeated. Anybody else? Himanshi Prabhakar, if you can tell the alliteration. Yes. ओके वंश आप कुछ कहना चाह रहे थे? हाँ जी बोलिए बेटा. यस हिमांशी. ओके वंश.
Ma'am, it is in the second line of the last paragraph. Some ages and ages hence.
No, that is not
No, ma'am.
alliteration.
Wanted where?
Wonderful.
Wanted where?
Wanted where, the ver sound is repeated here. Wanted where. Alliteration hota hai beta when a consonant sound of an alphabet is repeated in that particular line, right? Then jo ages and ages aapne kaha hai, that is the repetition of the word. That poetic device is repetition. So ages and ages, the word is repeated here. And which is the other repetition in the line in this poem? Who will tell? Which is the other repetition? Anyone can unmute and tell quickly. Vidya, the other repetition in the poem?
Ma'am, I just know this one, wanted word. The other one I can just, I don't know.
There is
First and for.
Ma'am,
First
may I?
for.
Diverged in yellow word.
no, that is not repetition here.
Ages
Yes,
and ages.
ages and ages we have done. There is one more repetition, but this is the
Ma'am,
repetition of a
yes.
sentence here. A line is repeated. Two roads
Ma'am, two road
diverged.
diverged.
Yes.
Two roads
in a word.
diverged in a wood.
Yes, this is the repetition here, right? So two repetitions are there, okay? You can also locate the other alliteration mentioned in the poem. And there is one more question about the sigh that is referred here in the last two stanza. What does the poet want to convey when he refers to, I shall be telling this with a sigh?
Ma'am, sigh here can be referred to as pain or relief.
Yes, and you have to explain it in the context, referring to the context here.
Poet is saying that in the future he could decide that whether the decision taken by him was right or wrong.
Yes.
When the journey will be over.
Yes, so that way you will give a complete answer. So poet here wants to convey that the decision that he has taken, whether it is right or wrong, he could only tell once he covers his journey, once he completes his journey and reaches the destination. And then only he can tell it with a sigh of relief or sigh of pain. If it is a successful one, so it will be a sigh of relief कि शुक्र है मेरा decision सही था. और अगर सक्सेसफुल नहीं होता है तो फिर क्या करते हैं? वी रिग्रेट, आई शुड हैव नॉट टेकन दैट डिसीजन. सो इस बात को बेटा क्लियरली समझोगे क्योंकि इन मेनी बुक्स ऑन इंटरनेट द आंसर इज नॉट गिवन करेक्ट. So do not copy anything blindly from the internet. You can always take help from the net, but don't just copy things blindly. Taking help is okay, but you should have your own critical thinking there, the analysis of the answer. You should question yourself, why is this statement used in this answer and whether it is applicable to the poem or not. And then after deciding, you must write it. And always try to write answers on your own. I really like the students, those who attempt on their own instead of just copying it blindly from the reference book. Read the reference book. I don't say that don't go through the reference books. You can take help. Take a reading, then close it. And after that, attempt all the answers yourself. ठीक है? So जब भी लिखने का कोई काम करते हो, because whenever you are writing yourself, it is actually preparing you for the chapter. So you don't need to cram it again and again if you are actually attempting answers on your own. Right, Bete? Okay, then with this, now let me just quickly share the Google form. It's a quick revision of the poem Road Not Taken. Right, students? So quickly fill it. We just have 5 minutes left.